Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the BNI Partners in Excellence show. My name is Andy, and today we have Andrew, not Andy.
Yeah, don't call me Andy.
Don't call me Andrew.
Okay, Andrew.
Andrew's when I get in trouble. Like, that's not your name when you're in trouble?
No, when I was a kid, yeah, I went by Andy as a kid. When I was in trouble, my full name started with Andrew.
That's the same, but as an adult, like an Andrew. What's your middle name?
Robert.
Robert? So you're Andrew Robert. Okay. I'm Andrew Evan. So like it has this ring to it when you're in trouble. Like, Andrew Evan! You're like, oh shoot, I'm in trouble. I gotta get out of here. We have Andrew Plummer on the show, everybody. Welcome, Andrew, to the show with Trifecta IT services. You know, we've been a client of Trifecta for a long time. Trifecta IT has been in BNI Partners In Excellence for a long time with the founder of Trifecta, Jim Franco, and of course you taking over his spot now. So it's awesome to have you.
Looking person there, you know.
You guys can argue about that in the chat because I was going to say you guys can fight about it, but I think you just actually argue on your keyboards about it, send each other nasty emails back and forth. So I want to talk about like a little bit of Trifecta IT, kind of your backstory, your background, and what you're doing, and then also a little bit about Partners in Excellence, but then about Andrew too, like more about you, because you know you've shared some things about your interests and your hobbies with us, but I want to like dig into that and get to know you a little bit better. So let's start with the Trifecta stuff. Let's tell everybody what it is you do. How can you help people? What are you currently doing out in the business, in the world?
Well, a little background on Trifecta. It was started back, if I'm not mistaken, in 2003 as a database and website company, if I'm not mistaken. And over the time, my boss, Jim, seen that a lot of businesses didn't have IT support. They had someone's brother, someone's nephew that was doing just like I was doing when
it's always the way it is, huh?
Exactly. Like I was doing on the side when I first started into the industry back in 2001. I've been doing this, 20-something years now.
But no one's keeping track. No one's counting.
But anyways, and he knows that need for it. So as time rolled on, he started, back then it was setting up PC repair. And that was managed IT services as well as break fix clients. And for those that don't understand the difference, break fix is if you're not on a maintenance plan. Manage if you're on a maintenance plan. Same services, same thing they do for you. Different price structures. Yeah. That's the only difference.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have helped us for many years. And I'm saying us kind of vaguely, but like Cruise Productions, 9010 brand, my other business, the mortgage company my family owns, like you've helped a lot of people I know.
Yeah. I remember when I come on, 9010 was gone, but you were doing the mortgage company.
Right.
When I first started 6 years ago, almost 7.
Yeah.
A lot of gray hair from Jim.
You guys are fortunate to have gray hair at all. So wait, you've been with Jim since 2018?
Yep. I came on board when I left one of our clients. Is how I met Jim in 2016. I think it was 2015 to 16. We had a IT company take over. I built their server, and I could not maintain the server and do my job without something had to give. So we brought a company in that was supposed to take over, but unfortunately, they deleted data and didn't back up beforehand, which is something that's.
But you talk about you talk about that all the time though. Like this happens more often than I even want to admit because I'm like that's like seems like someone else's problem until it becomes your problem.
Yeah, it happened twice. The first time they deleted one of my coworkers 6 months while fixing her Outlook of outgoing emails. And
6 months? 6
months worth.
Oh my God.
Or no, I'm sorry. Hers was 4 months. Mine was 6 months.
Oh,
and it was incoming and outgoing. And even though it was backed up, I had it backed up, thankfully.
My hand just went like this. I'm like,
but the bad part is, it's not. Crazy. We dealt with AT&T and Verizon, and we had what's called turf vendors, like a contractor in between AT&T and us. We had direct with AT&T, and then we had a middleman. Well, those middlemen, if we don't have an email, whatever we told them never got done. Even though we said it got done, we had no backup proof.
Oh, man.
And that got us, and because of those emails, thankfully we had a good rapport with the turf vendor. There were other people CC in the email that could bring it up. A lot of mine was just directly with the turf vendor. I had it backed up on another computer that was synced, that never went offline. And so when they fixed my computer, I had to restore all that. So anyways, we fired them, and that's where I met Jim and Matt, back when Matt was still with us.
Oh my gosh, Matt! That's right. Yes. That's right. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about like how big of a problem this is, though, because I'm having this like reaction. Again, I have this idea like, oh, that happens to other people. No, that's happened to me too.
People are like, I'm fine. I tell people, and I tell people, for example, my grandfather passed away in 2010. I had some pictures and videos from a wedding around the same time a friend of mine got married from my church. My grandfather and I walked to our grandmother's grave over in Glen Abbey, and we're standing there side by side. I was editing the pictures on an SD card. The SD card crashed and froze, deleted everything. The only thing I have left of my grandfather of those pictures is a picture of the grave with flowers we put around it and our feet. When I was just shooting down. It was the first picture we taken in 15 years together or something like that. It's been a long time, at least a decade.
Oh, wow.
So I was upset that I didn't have it, but at the same time, I had the memories of it. I still remember, the memories of being there. But it was that thing where I tell people, think of most cherished possessions. What's most cherished? Pictures.
Yeah.
Or, or keepsakes. You lose that. Don't you want it locked away? Don't you want it backed up? Or have a second copy somewhere?
Well, yeah, I think so commonly, especially in business, we just think of like our documents. We think of our documents, PDFs, our emails, things like that. But yeah, that's right. I mean, all that other stuff's mixed in there too, like our personal videos and memories and keepsakes. And what's funny about you mentioning your grandfather is, recently I was going through some of my older BNI presentations, and I remember I had used an analogy of how my grandfather was like he was an engineer, and in his spare time he would like bake and cook, and he was a confectioner, make candy and all this stuff. And it's because of the meticulous nature of it, like his detail focus, and he was really good at that stuff too. But I came across that picture of him and I in his kitchen when he was still alive, and I was like, oh man, I didn't forget that I had the photo, but I hadn't seen it in a while, and I just paused. I was like, oh man, like I've learned so much just from. Was
that a photograph? Actually,
it was a photograph. No, like an actual in
an album or something, right?
It was a digital version of an actual 3x5 printed photo.
This day and age, like when I grew up, we had photo albums.
Right.
Nowadays, everything's digital. Right. That's why I tell people, make sure you back that stuff up.
Yeah.
Pay for the backup or put on something to store it, because even backup devices, external devices, SD cards, memory sticks, external drives, they all are going to crash. They only have so much of a life. You never know when they're going to do. Everything's mass produced. A hard drive or those sticks could last 5 minutes or 10 years, for example. Not that they're going to last that long, but
that's pretty unnerving, because I forgot. And now that you're saying that, I had a drive fail on me before. It was a SATA drive. I had an external drive fail on me, and I had. I hate to admit this. I had probably like $100,000 of work on there, like programs and plans and business infrastructure I helped build for other people that I was also using myself. I didn't have it.
Yep. I don't mean to laugh, but yeah.
No, and you know what? And Jim actually helped me, and we tried to do a data recovery, and they couldn't. I had to take to a forensics place, and they had to get a new like a motherboard for the drive, and it still didn't work, and I actually ended up losing all of that stuff.
I had the same thing with the church. Our 40th anniversary. I had external, it was encased, external, and I was at work on my lunchtime updating stuff, and someone kicked it. It went flying off the shelf that was under my desk where I had sitting, because their foot got caught in a cable. We had stuff everywhere at that time. And I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. But it failed. It was an old read-write, old spin disc. And I had thousands of pictures, stuff like that. That was a backup for everything. But then again, that we didn't. Luckily, we had other people had the same information, so we didn't need the stuff I had.
Sure.
I could just pick up what I needed, and then which I had backed up other places, and move forward.
Yeah, but there's a lot. I think I hope this isn't overstated, but there's like a loss. Like you have this tangible loss. Like if you don't have the picture of your grandfather, right? It's like that means something. So, on one hand, we go, $50 a month or $20 a month. I don't want to do it. But we go, well, how much does that work to? It's priceless. Well, like apparently it's either priceless or it's not at some point, right?
And I say that because now look at your business. Like all that data you lost. How far back did it put you in business? Did you have to close your doors?
Oh, well, no, I didn't have to close my doors. I had to redo it all. Like it was months and months. And I don't mean like I started it and I touched it the next day or the next week. It was cumulatively months of work, easily $100,000 of effort. And it was just gone. I had to redo it all.
And this is why I tell people, back it up. Or just make a copy and put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Even if you have, someone's got 6 revisions to go, at least you got it backed up somewhere.
Sure.
You can pick up and change. Because I've gone back where I've redone something. And I look back like, what was I thinking? Because I could have done that this way instead, but at least I have a starting point.
Yeah.
Even if you don't go with that, you at least have something you can if you're going to redo like a PowerPoint or a Word document or a contract or a form you're going to use, you can at least I don't like how this is worded. I'm just going to do it from scratch, but here's my template to do it from. Yeah. And that's what I tell people, because if you get ransomware on the other side of it, a lot of people from ransomware do not recover. And because they don't have the backup. And some of them I think there's a study put out within 2 years, most people after getting ransomware close their doors of a major breach.
What?
There's a study. I have to find and give you the information. But there's an actual study out there that actually shows.
That's crazy.
It's on one. I know I was reading about it on one of our brochures and actually in depth on it. But it actually shows that only 15-20% of business survive, and this is not very long ago. It gets better as time goes on, but a major attack, and that's without backups.
Dang.
So if you got backups, at least you can restore back. It might take time depending on what kind of backup you have. There's all kinds of backups. You got the local backup and you got cloud backup and variations of that. But at least you have something to restore from.
It's almost like ransomware is creating a sub industry for backing up.
It kind of is a bestseller.
The bestseller.
But like I do,
Salesman of the Year, ransomware.
What I do is like for our dental offices is something that one of the things I love working with is dental, veterinary, and medical facilities. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I do is I have a spreadsheet. Eventually, I'm going to go away from the spreadsheet into something better. But like I have, because I want something that's a little more robust, and I have to update this thing every. I can just click the industry. But I basically have a spreadsheet that shows what you put in. You put in the spreadsheet your grossly monthly income, and it breaks it down by weekly, daily, and hourly. And the reason being of this is that's in the first tab. And then what we do in the next tabs is we have all your investments, all your IT investments, your switches, your firewall, your equipment. And I've actually spoken, like for the dentist office, I already know how long it takes to do that from scratch.
Yeah.
So in this thing, it's also got another tab that I basically run a speed test, from 5 to 10 speed tests on your network. So even though you says you're getting paid for X, I need to get what you're actually getting paid for.
Yeah.
And that way I get an average.
Yeah.
That way I know what your actual average is. And sometimes I'll do just spot check those if you get an idea. But what it does, it tells you how long you can be down for. So basically and then I also look at all your servers and stuff like that, and then how many concurrent downloads you're going to be doing. So basically, if you're down, now we got to come in and figure out how long it's going to take it back up.
Right,
so what the one page has is your Windows downloads. The initial downloads are 3 to 5 gigs just per computer. Your server could be 10, 12 gigs.
Yeah.
Per device. And if you got virtual servers like that, it's going to take time. On top of that, you also have Windows updates and stuff that are 2 or 3 gigs each.
Right.
Plus, now you have your download, if you're downloading the cloud, backing up. So your download speed, instead of being up here, is now like this.
Yeah.
What this does...
It's compressed big time.
Yeah. And so when you're looking at that graph, someone actually, smarter than me, thank God, wrote the code and the script that actually shows how long it would take to download that stuff. And what I do is I put that in business hours because, one, I love my customers, but I am not going to sit there 48 hours straight with no sleep.
Well, yeah, but because there's a time when you're not doing anything, you're just waiting and you're watching its monitor. You're monitoring status.
And that's during the night time.
There's nothing to change or do.
So if I, like one of our customers, if she got everything encrypted, all 13 computers and 3 virtuals plus a physical server, all encrypted, hers, I told her flat out, 96 business hours should be down.
96 business hours.
Yes.
So 96 8-hour workdays.
Correct.
Or not 90. No, sorry. 96 hours worth of 8-hour workdays.
Correct.
So
now,
what is that? Is it 12 days?
I think it was
12 business days. Yeah.
something like that.
Wow.
And I said, "Can you be down that long?" And she and I went round and round on pricing on
2 weeks and 2. That's 2 weeks and 2 days, dude.
Correct. That's how long it take to bring at one point. Well, she had 1.2, 1.3 terabytes of data. It's X-rays, images, and stuff like that.
Oh.
So what I do is I also pull your data, how much data you have, because that also has to come down. If you use a cloud backup, now if you use a hybrid, it's internal and cloud. That's a different story. We have a product we use, so I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But for her office, what would happen is I come in and we'd start wiping the server, unplugging.
Yeah.
Any workstations are off. I don't have to touch, thank God.
Yeah.
For the most part, we got to repoint them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we have to start unplugging and start wiping all the computers. Now, what's downside of this, it's one computer at a time. And once it gets up, then I can run around and start, I look at round robin, basically going.
Start the other one.
Yeah.
Go back to the front again. And,
And once I get our agent on, if it's managed client, then I can sit in one spot in the office where I can turn the screen so I can see him and just start pushing programs out while I'm calling vendors.
Stop and tell everyone what that means, though, because I think that might be passing some people by. What it means to be managed client remotely, where you're actually doing the updating and the work from your station, but at that location's physical machines.
Yes. So with our managed clients, we have what's called an agent, an application that runs in the background, usually in our taskbar, which is down by the clock. And what that does, it has our AV, which is an antivirus application. We've had various different ones over the years. And we always are researching new ones that with our different vendors that actually do a better job than the last one. Because no matter how good your antivirus is, there's someone out there that's going to get around
every
it.
minute there's like a new thing.
Yes.
Well, I don't know what the new things are. I just know that there is a new thing.
Exactly.
That's as far as I go.
And I know back when I was younger, I heard Norton update every 6 months. I know they do it now.
6 months.
This is back in
Dude, you got to update like every 6 seconds now.
Yeah. But basically I'm saying
That's crazy.
it wasn't as bad as it is today. This
6
is back when I was like, in my earlier years, back when I wasn't so old.
Yeah, how long ago was that? Yeah, how many years
90
ago?
years ago. But it was every 6 months. Now I forget they do a lot faster now. I think it's every few weeks or something like that because they have to go test this stuff too.
Yeah.
And that's something I try to explain to people all the time is just because they push it out doesn't mean it's going to work.
Well,
they have to
true.
test it.
Dude, Windows updates are like that. Well, you helped me with recently that they didn't. All of a sudden, my Adobe Premiere's not working and stuff's out of sync. I'm like, okay, go back, go back a version.
Look at Memo's computer with that one Windows update that's crashed it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We have 35 clients right now, between all 35 clients, I think it's up to now. That's managed and break fix. I think it's up to 76 computers, including mine, with Windows 11 with a certain update.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me about this.
That slows down. Somehow, was able to uninstall that one and didn't come back that I know about. But it maxes out the CPU, the memory, and the hard disk. Yeah. Doesn't matter if you have solid state or spinning.
Yeah. It's just like it's peaking the whole time.
And you'll be sitting there waiting for this stuff to get done.
That's so crazy.
Now we have what's called a professional ticket with Microsoft. They're very expensive ticket working with them, and it's a lot of back and forth with Microsoft directly.
Sure.
Waiting for them to like they took logs off my computer. They're trying to figure out what to do and how to fix this.
But it's a systemic problem for all these clients.
Correct, and not just our clients. Worldwide.
Well, your 76 is just a microcosm of like however many hundreds or thousands of machines.
Exactly. Anybody's got a Windows 11 Home or Pro version has this issue if they have this particular update installed. And there's not much you can do until Microsoft fixes it.
Okay, so when this kind of stuff happens, though, you guys are able to remotely log into people's terminals and then do your work from no matter how far it is, as long as you're connected to the internet.
Yes, as long as you have an internet connection through our agent or through one of our agents, because we have our agent put on every computer, and then a lot of times we'll put what I call a second agent on in case the first agent, which does happen, glitches out or can't connect. Yeah, we have a secondary we use a lot for our break fix too. Yeah. Where we actually can log in and actually get their main agent started so we can do what we got to do. If it doesn't want to start, which has happened, technology. Yeah. Yeah. We at least can get on and work it out.
I think we've become accustomed to like everything works all the time. And it's almost like made us immune to the fact that like sometimes stuff breaks. And sometimes things just aren't going to work the way they're intended or the way that they're optimized. And I'm saying this because I fall in this category too, because I'm like, oh my gosh, what do you mean my download speed's only half of what it normally is? Like it's still way faster than like most of the developed population in the world. So like major first world problems happening over here. So I think we've become immune to that because also we've been conditioned that like everything should just work all the time. Everything's up all the time. Everything works all the time. Everything's connected. There's never any. I mean,
if you look at everybody, it says 90 or 70% uptime. You notice nothing ever says 100%.
What's that?
Nothing ever says 100% uptime.
Right, because it's not true. It's not. It's not achievable.
Some internet providers, I'm not going to mention names, but some internet providers only will say which I go with a lot of times, guarantee 75% uptime. They can guarantee that. If not, they're going to be out there.
Sure, because they have redundancies in place that it never drops below 75. Like I get that.
Others will charge you, but they don't guarantee that range. Yeah. And this is something I try to explain to people with computers. Just because it's on does not mean it's going to work 100% of the time. There's a lot of variables. Yeah. Application you got running, network equipment, cabling, mice. Another thing, if you got rodents in there. Mice. Well, yeah.
I know. It sounds so stupid, but it's like it's actually a thing. Like, chewing through cables and messing up in your server room.
Some of the vet hospitals that we've actually found rodents or dead rodents in the attic.
They weren't pets, right? They weren't.
These are.
They weren't patients.
If they were, I'd be having some words with the staff. Like, you seriously want to gross me out? I mean, they're skeletonized by the time we get there, but still, we go up there but it's stuff. Rodents eat it.
Oh my god!
Ants. Another thing is ants. Just because you see ants are notorious for getting inside screens and computers. Wow. And destroying the circuitry. Something about them attracts ants.
So it's just not in the movie Ant-Man that they do that. No. It's not just in the Marvel movie, guys. Like it happens in real life. And ants get in the machine and they start messing up circuitry.
They love to be around their monitors too.
Because they're warm? Is it? Well, do you think it's electric current? Why are we talking about this? You know what? We're going to ask Michael Keith. Hey, Michael Keith, Andrew and Andy have a inquiry for you. It's about why ants like the perimeter of monitors. Let's figure that out. That could be his next like scientific quest for pest control or pest management. He has some interesting things to talk about, man. He deep dives into some stuff.
Every week I ask him, what are you talking about today? Make sure it's disgusting.
Dude, you know what's funny? It's like, we're talking about computers and all that, but like I told him, I was like, I really need your restaurant list. Like, where am I supposed to go? Like, what place am I supposed to avoid?
I don't want to know.
But here's why I'm bringing that up. Is like, similarly, whenever I call you guys, I'm like, listen, what's the thing I should be using? Just tell me, which is the one I should use? Which is the one thing I should avoid? Just give me right to it. And the reason is because I've had the loss, I've had the downtime, I've had to recapture stuff, I've had to recover things. And it's such a headache and an inconvenience. I think part of that's a reflection of our lifestyle business-wise. We don't leave room for margin for mistakes or leave margin for downtime or leave margin for problems. But then we end up having problems and they end up thinking our days are longer, our week goes out of hand. So part of that, I know you've really helped us figure that out. That is super, super valuable. But also, like, you guys are really good at what you do. And that's going to sound like I'm totally pandering. I don't mean that to pander. Like, you guys have helped us out of so many numerous situations that I didn't walk myself into. It's not like I did something I wasn't supposed to be doing, and now I have this problem that I'm like, okay, it's me. Stuff just breaks, and you guys have always helped us figure it, recover it out. You guys helped rebuild our entire network here at the office when we were going through our renovation here. So you guys just provided tremendous service. So I wanted to make sure I thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. One of those things we try to do too is also de-stress you, because one of the things we've had, and I've had people call, scream, and yell. So I treat everybody like a redheaded stepchild because you laugh at it, but I got that banter with a lot of our reporting.
Comment below if you're a redheaded stepchild. We're going to have to clean this up in post, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to leave that in the show.
I have that. I use that for a joke because it just kind of, everybody knows that slogan. And the reason I say that is because I have a banter with most of I'm the one that's on site. So I have a banter. I go back and forth. So when someone calls in a problem, I'm like, what did you break this time?
Yeah. Well, that's what you say to me.
Yeah, like, exactly. And the reason being is you laugh at it.
Whose computer is it? Oh, it's mine this time.
But you laugh at it. But it's also to do two things. One, to de-stress you. It's a psychological to de-stress you, where at least you're calm enough and not stressed out. It breaks that. I can't get this done. I can't get this done. To where that was, you're like, oh, here's my problem. Yeah. Because I've had people, and I've heard on other calls where I've actually taken calls over, they're yelling and screaming at us. Yeah, and I mean, we had a call one time, like, and I walked her, I'm like, who you talking to? I took in my phone. I knew the lady, and she was having, issues. Her husband's in the hospital for major surgery. Oh, she's at work. She's got a deadline. And so many things just piling. So I started sidetracking her off the problem. I didn't care about the problem at that point. I got her calmed down. And because my rapport, we talked for like, I don't know, 3 minutes. I'm like, oh, by the way, what were we having issues with? Yeah. Oh, that's easy. Let me take care of that. Yeah. And it's that's one thing we try to do, or at least I try to do. I'm not just trying to toot my own horn, but I'm out with most clients. Jim goes out. Abe's in the office. He doesn't really ever go on site. Yeah. He talks. He does a lot of phone answering, but Jim reminded the ones on site.
But that's what I'm saying you guys have done for us too. Like we're calling because we have a problem. I'm not calling bragging about something going right with my computer. I'm calling like I'm having a problem. I need your help. And it's nice because you guys are funny and you're like wicked smart. But I trust that if you know the answer, you're going to fix it. And if you don't know the answer off the top of your head, because I've had some super random things happen, or like there's not even an explanation in internet forums for this, then we go and we figure it out together. And that's what I really appreciate.
And that's one thing that most people are scared to hear the word no. I don't know how to do it, but I'll tell you flat out, like, hey, this is.
But when it's true, it's true. But then you go into investigation mode and go, okay, well, let's sort it out. What could it be? Let's just start. Let's go down the line. Is it this? No. Is it that? And then you go through the process of elimination, and you ultimately get to the solution.
Exactly. Now, that process of elimination you just mentioned might not be instant. It takes time.
Well, that's why it's called a process.
But a lot of people, like you said, mentioned earlier, people are so want everything like this. I've got clients that they click on something and won't even give the computer time to process the data. Yeah. They're like, why is this 10,000 rows not populating? I'm like, because you got
10,000 rows.
But it's the same. The report takes time to render.
I know. Yeah.
So it's one of those things of, knowing that it's going to take a couple, it could be a few minutes to a few days. We've had a couple things that's taken a little longer, up to a month to fix. But we've had, like you said, we've got Band-Aids in place to keep you, workarounds.
The other thing too is that, the Band-Aids are important, but also there's things that are out of your control. And this isn't to abdicate responsibility. It's like let's go back to the Microsoft issue you were talking about a couple minutes ago. It's like Microsoft has this problem. So they deployed it, and now all the people that have that also have the problem.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in between Microsoft and the customer, and
It's not our
Microsoft,
problem.
it's like it's upstream from you, and there's just some things that have to take time.
Exactly.
And I think that I need to be better at that, of course. So I'm publicly admitting that. But I think it's also, I think also some of that reaction you see from people is how it reflects how important their data is. It reflects how important our reliability on our devices is for doing the thing we do. And I know you guys care about that, so I want to go there. Can we go there?
Back to your backup thing?
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
why
go
I
for
had
it.
that sheet. I asked him.
Yeah.
I said, this is about the downtime. Can you afford to be down this long? This is why when I'm talking about backups,
Most people don't think about that, right?
no, and this is why I bring it up. Now, the sheet also puts in your employee wages. So what you do is it has another page.
Oh, like sunk costs, like this. Oh,
Yeah.
shoot. That's
So
smart.
basically this sheet, because if I'm going to give you real world numbers.
Yeah.
So the first page, like I said, has your monthly and down to daily and hourly. So the second page is, now everybody's wages are so, growing up, I always heard it's 1.5 for an employee. So if you pay someone $10 an hour, you just put 10 in the field.
Yeah.
And it'll give you a ballpark, 1.5 what you pay that employee. Because I don't care about the actual number as long as it's something close.
Yeah, it's a hedge, basically.
Yeah. So on the front page for like this office, if she went down and she had, I think, 8 employees at the time, or 7 employees at the time, her first day down would cost her $13,000.
Oh, my, what? And you're talking about the client that I was saying was going to be down 12 days?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And then it calculates how many days after that.
Oh,
so the first day, like in California, and labor law is going to hate me for quoting this, but it's a scenario. You come in at 8 o'clock, 9:30, you're sending everybody home because they can't work because ransomware. You got to pay them for the 4 hours. I understand there's 4 hours. It includes that time. Includes what I understand. I could be wrong. Any labor law attorneys out there, correct me if I'm wrong, but you got to pay the employee for the 4 hours because you're having to send everybody home because it's a company issue, not an employee issue.
They can't do any work.
Exactly. So there's that. So it calculates that, and they're on top of that. So now with all that calculated, and plus our hours to come in and start it, and it takes the total hours and then divides that by a day and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it gives you first day and then how many days afterwards. Dang. So the sheet breaks it down, and then it's kind of like, so can I borrow $20,000, $30,000?
Oh my God.
We, it's one of those you kind of like joke about it, but you kind of back in.
And if you got tight cash flow, like that's a problem. That's a real big problem. I mean, and I'm not going to say like if you're just day by day, but even if you're week by week, and this is going to take 3 of those 5 days or 4 of those 5 days, like that's trimming it pretty thin.
We had a law firm that actually happened like Super Bowl Sunday 2021. I woke up, and I'm not a football fan or really a sports fan. My phone was going crazy, and I woke up to my phone just dinging like crazy, looking like it said ransomware. And I'm like, what the hell? So I get on the computer, and I log into one of the servers, which I have a picture of it. I was smart enough to take a picture. But it's a dialog box, and I'm watching it encrypt the data.
Oh, no way.
So first I'm like
as it's happening? Oh, shit.
I'm like, this is kind of cool. This is how they do it? And my mind's like, but then I'm like, at the same time, I'm looking at this.
Wait a minute. Massive problem.
At the same time I'm doing this,
yeah.
I look at this form, like, this is actually almost ingenious.
Oh, man.
But then I'm like, okay, how do I stop it? So now, at the same time, I'm scanning the form, and I stop it. I'm like, okay, it stopped. And I'm looking, nothing's running no more because it has a progress bar. And at this point, they're already about 45% encrypted.
Oh, my.
So I'm sitting looking at this thing going, okay, I think I stopped it. Okay, that's how do we revert? And it says unencrypt. I was getting ready to hit it. I see the mouse move. I'm on the server with one of the hackers or the people encrypting it. At this point, we're fighting over the mouse.
Oh,
and I'm trying to
my
hold it down
gosh,
so I
no
can't
way.
do it. They overpower me, and I start it. They stop it, or back, or they start, I stop it. They finally go up and hit something. I couldn't stop them. They hit the screen. And at this point, I'm like, you should have heard the words coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I'm like, screw it. It's already screwed up anyways. They have a backup, which is in the cloud.
Yeah.
Which I back up at the time, which is not a bad backup thing.
I back up, yeah.
It's great. But for this instance, they had so much data, the larger data, and depending on downtime, I'm like, screw it. I shut the server down. I called the owner at home.
Yeah.
And I told him, hey, I need you to meet me at your office.
Yeah.
So from 7:30 in that morning when it woke me up to 12:30 next morning, the time I went to bed, we were dealing with this. Jim and I were both on this.
Oh, wow.
Basically, I went to their office, they had 4 computers, thankfully, the 16 that were not online. They were just turned off. I was like, thank God. I was on there. They had just moved in this office. The computer's still on the floor. So I'm upstairs where all the girls' computers that were moved in. I'm rolling around. I'm stretched out like click, click, click.
Oh, my gosh.
But it took about 8 hours to restore. I got there at 11, didn't leave till about 8:30 that night.
Oh, man.
Restoring all those computers. We're getting the server so Jim could get back on it.
Wow.
But it just takes time.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things of, people don't realize how long it takes. In the end, it was $7,000 plus. I think our bill was around $7,000 or $8,000 or something like that.
But what's the value of that? Like, not to undermine the cost, but it's like it could be $7,000. But it's like, okay, you're talking about a multi-million-dollar business or something like that.
No, it hit them hard. It hit them hard. It was not a cheap thing. On top of that, the software they had was outdated. They had perpetual licenses where they own the software. The company doesn't do them though; they're all subscription. So they had to redo all 22 licenses from. Still can have it online, but the licenses had all be changed.
Oh my gosh!
So that was another. I think altogether, I think they told me it was closer to 15,000, 20,000 after.
Oh my
but see, people don't realize how much technology changes day in day out.
Sure.
So when all said and done, when I talk to people, I'm like, can you afford they went to the data backup like we use now for there now. I want to say a 500 because we don't adjust the prices. We don't have no control, but they said I think theirs at that time when data entered data with them, I think it was like $520 a month.
Wow.
So at $520 a month, theoretically would have saved them if they had gone with that way back when.
Dang.
Which is fine. What business do we want? We're just going to go with what they want. But it would have saved them all that money. It would have basically we still have to come in, still have to wipe the server and computers, but their data is all restored. So they were down from Sunday till technically Thursday. By Monday morning when they come back in, their computer. I was on site. Their computers were up. Yeah. They were crippled. They were able to do emails and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but they weren't able to do a lot of the stuff they were able to do until Thursday evening.
Wow.
So, but if they had done like and we suggest stuff ahead of time, we would have been able to bring it back. Yeah. Within a few hours. So they'd been down maybe 2 days. Yeah. And they could have said, okay, stay home. We're going to have everything back up on this date, and we'll let you guys know you can log back in. This is where I always suggest backup, because of the fact.
Because of that. I mean, and I know there's like dozens and dozens of these types of stories, but it's like, and it's not the same thing all the time, but it has some of the same trace markers through and through.
And like you said, businesses have a budget. Yeah. Budget. What's $500 a month or what's $200 a month? And don't get wrong. We all live. I've lived on a budget. Well, we all have to. But
we should plan for it and be preventative rather than just defensive and responsive.
And that's what we try to do, a lot of preventative stuff. And we can't and nobody can catch every little thing, but we try. Yeah. But I tell people, like I told a client recently, theirs I think was like $560 a month. Yeah. I said, think of it as an insurance policy. I can't afford that. Yeah. A few months later, we sat down, talked in. She just signed the paper. Of course, it changed again because stuff's always changing. It was a little higher. Sure. But she's like, okay, we're just going to do it.
Well, it's the same for me. Like I have all these cameras, all this equipment's insured because if it's damaged or I have to replace it, I need to replace it, and it's expensive stuff. And guess what? My business isn't running unless the cameras are running. So if the cameras aren't running, we're not doing nothing. We're dead in the water.
Exactly. And I tell people, without your data, you might just close your doors because if you don't have your data.
Dude, like that's such like a hard statement, but like it's so true.
It's true, and some people
so
I don't say it strictly out, but there are
no,
times.
I know, but it's okay to say that.
Actually, like when I talk about backup, like without your data, you're nothing. Yeah. Without your data, because your data allows you to do your work. It's not like this is your first week in business. Yeah. If it was your first week in business, we'd have a whole different discussion.
Yeah.
But if you've been in business 20 years,
a long time,
you might as well close your doors if you don't have backup and everything's encrypted and we cannot restore it.
But I like what you said about the whole, think of it as an insurance policy. Because, I mean, it's not called that, but it basically is that.
It is.
Because it's going to restore anything that was lost or damaged into the fashion that it was prior to the damage or the loss.
Correct.
And you're going to pay a premium every month for it. They should just call it that. Can we call it that now? Like I think that would
insurance.
Yeah, basically. I mean, now that we've like kind of heard you explain it this way, it's basically what it is.
See, the thing is, what people don't realize is like for that law firm, we were there and just that 7:30, 12:30 a.m. the next morning. Yeah, that wasn't our only time. We were working on it throughout the day for the next several days. So see, if they had the backup like we suggest or the ones that we spin up or whatever. It'd only be that day down which been on a Sunday, which is
then,
great.
Then your constraints are only what's your speed and how much data you're recovering.
Those are the variables. At that point, we're just restoring the computers.
Yeah.
And a computer, I've got down depending on the age of the computer, a computer can be fully restored in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Per computer.
Yeah. And if I'm doing both, if you have all the right things in place, though, like the alternative is
I'm just saying
it's days to recover
to factory specs.
Yeah.
30 minutes, and then all your proprietary software that can be an hour, 2 hours later, but. You're still, even though we're doing a bunch at once, we're not going all one. Then that's only when I'm restoring them. But then I'm just putting your stuff on. Then it's just boom, boom, just starting along down the line. And within, I would say that office could have been back up probably in, not including the server really, but 6 hours.
Wow.
Not including bringing or copying the files back from the server.
Yeah.
That takes a little bit of time. But the actual computers, 6 hours.
Well, I want to go, we've been talking a lot about technical stuff, but I want to talk about the reason, like why you do this. Like what got you into this line of work? You're clearly passionate about it, well-versed, spoken, experience, and have a lot of stories of loss, but then also recovery. So why is this important, Andrew?
It's interesting that I got in this in high school. Way back in high school, they had ROP programs. And it was regional occupational programs. I took my junior year landscaping, my senior year construction, and computers. Construction computers kind of stuck with me. And I've just started cleaning computers and dusting them out and stuff like that, doing small cleanups and clean cookies and stuff like that. And that just kind of slowly over the years progressed into something. And then finally, 20 years later, I finally decided, or not 20 years, 15 years later, I finally decided to take my passion, what I love doing, and actually do it for a living.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone who used to know me years ago when I did, I worked in an RV dealership. I was their tech support, their advertising department, and basically anything you need.
And miscellaneous. Yeah.
For the company. And I ran into one of the vendors that does awnings for RVs, and he had a new guy. And I look at him, whatever you do, whether you stay with him or not, find your passion and do what you love. The owner looks at him and goes, "He's right. If this is what you love, do it. If not, find what you love."
Wow.
And I wasn't trying to tell the guy not to work for him. It was that fact that do what you love, because they said if you do what you love, yes, you're going to work, but it's not going to feel like work. You're going to have good days and bad days, but you're going to love what you do.
Yeah.
Now, I don't always love what I do, I'll be honest. I butt heads, but at the same time, it's that feeling of knowing that I've helped somebody, and I've always been someone to help someone.
Yeah.
But I like that at least they can keep running. They're not down. I feel, I'm one of those people, when I quote you something, I have that moral thing, like I can't sell that part to them. I have a hard time.
Right.
I even come to you like, it's going to be this much.
Yeah.
I have a hard time telling people, hey, you got to spend $5,000 for a new server, or $8,000 new server, or hey, you need a new computer and it's going to cost this. I don't really want to go this route, but at this point, we've done all this, and we're just throwing money at this thing. Might as well
but real world, like real talk here. There was a time I needed to upgrade my machine earlier this year, and I was like, "Hey guys, what should I put in this machine? What's its capacity?" You're like, "Hey, here's what you can do. Here's what you can add." And I was like, "Cool, I'll get the stuff." And they're like, "You guys are like, you can do this. You just have to take the bottom off, unclip that one part, clip the other thing in, and you told me how to do it." So it's, we were talking about these like not extreme, but these circumstances where there's like a lot of loss and damage. But there's times when you guys are like, "No, you can do it."
Yeah,
you're not do that nickel and diming me for stuff, because you're like, "Hey, just do it. Like, you can order the part, order it here. We're not going to upsell you on it. Just go buy the part and put it. You can do this yourself."
And we do a lot of that with one of our call centers. We actually ship out the computers. I put together a manual because a lot of people don't know how to plug a computer in, which I look at like, I don't get it, but then I get it. So I actually, in our old office, I sat with and I put 20-page manual together. It has pictures of everything. Me holding cables, showing them where it goes in, how,
diagrams.
Just of every little thing, plus a diagram of all the different video ports, which now got to be updated again, because I wish I could just set with a video style and just be done with it.
Technology's always changing.
Yeah. But
keep you on your toes.
I send it out with every shipment, whether they have it already or not. I try to send that packet out with every shipment, and to make a person's onboarding life easier. Because in that packet, when you get your new computer, you'll get a monitor, or sometimes one or two monitors, keyboard, mouse, Ethernet cable, power strip, the computer itself. I'm trying to think what else is in the thing. Power supply.
Yeah.
And then you got the manual, as well as your property return agreement and a welcome letter. Yeah. It says, "Welcome to the company.
Yeah.
Here's your computer login. Here's your email password and your other credentials.
Yeah.
Everything's basically, you're getting handed basic keys to success. And that's what one thing I noticed that we're having when they start after COVID, which to me screwed everything up. They started doing a lot more work from home, which has been a challenge.
Yeah.
To me, I think work from home is just, it's that caveat that you have to grin and bear it, because a lot of people want to work from home instead of going to an office. And because of that, a lot of businesses are shifting, and a lot of people going home going, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this. Right. And my goal was, when I started this manual, is to take our onboarding time when we're talking to the person on the phone from an hour and a half to 2.5 hours down to 30 minutes. Yeah. Which is basically
smart.
Or 15 minutes. So when you first call in, unless we mistype a password, which does happen, we're just doing that, or you can't get online. We'll walk you through those. But the goal was, they got the packet. They've got pictures in all these packets that show up page by page, and what to do in the step order, as well as whether you have the part or not. It has all the parts you may get, and they're all lettered. Yeah. So it says plug A into B. C into B, stuff like that. This way, you're set up success from day one. Yeah. Now, if you can't follow instructions, you call us, and we will, or if your system, which does happen, have a monitor, someone has a different cable or something. Yeah. Or we'll overnight the cable, or go grab one, and we'll, it's something, it would take care of it. But those are some of the things that we deal with. Some people they look at that like it's too overwhelming. Yeah. They'll have their son, they'll have their brother-in-law, husband, wife, someone else can read, or they'll call us.
Whoever seems to know the most.
Yeah. And I hear it all the time. Oh, I had my grandson hooking up for me. I had my nephew hook up. Like, I personally don't care who hooks up, as long as they're ready to go on the day, so they can get paid, because it bugs me. Yeah. And even though it's not my employee, if you're down with computer issues, it just bugs me. I want to make sure you're back up, because I look at it as you're out money now.
So what? So stop there. Why is that? Like, why you take? Because look, it's clear you know what you're talking about. It's clear we're in the deep throes of nerddom. But like, why is this so important to you?
I think the fact, if you can't work, that means no money. Everybody budgets.
But what's behind that? Like,
I think I look at my own situation when I was younger and struggling paycheck to paycheck and stuff like that. And then people like my own daughter, I watched her struggle, but she'll ask for help here, but most of the time she doesn't want help. She's such a strong, independent woman. She wants to do it on her own. She wants to find her own way. And I look at people, if you can't make that, like for $10 an hour, 8 hours, it's $80 a day, before taxes. That $8, which is usually maybe $300 a week. Mm-hmm. If you miss 8 hours or 8 hours, how are you gonna pay for groceries? How are you gonna pay for gas? Right. How are you gonna pay for the kid? That's where my mind goes to. Yeah. And I think that's just because I have a lot of family values in it. And it bugs me to see someone for technical issues, not able to work, And that's where a lot of times, if I have to call somebody, can they be down X amount of time, or is there something else we can do, or how fast do you need it over there? And the supervisors have to make that decision. That way, it's not on me to make that decision, because I want to overnight it right away. Right. And some business says, no, we're not overnighting the equipment. It's too expensive. They can wait a day or two, but they'll find something else, or somehow where they can make it up.
Yeah, because I've known this about you because I've experienced it. And the reason I wanted to kind of pause here for a second is because I know some people have not had the years of working alongside you and Jim that we have. But you guys have a profound and deep desire to help quickly and help well. And I don't want to act like that's some sort of crazy standard. We should all be wanting to do that in business. But it's always been a little evident to me that there's something else motivating that and driving that, because you deeply care about that.
Yeah, it's just that passion. We've always not want to be, and I think it's come from Jim, the way he was, and the way when I met him. They want to be able to help before I even started working, when I was Jim and Matt, I could see they want to help the client and get to the problem solved, so you can just move on to business. They don't want to sit there and dwell on this problem more than you do. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, we've got a problem, we're going to stay forever. No, It's like, we got a problem, let's find the solution, move on, so that this person can get on with their life. Because some issues, technical, can just bring everything to a halt. And that's what people don't realize, that little things can cause problems, which then means people don't get paid.
Yeah. But understand, please understand, for some people that are in your space, it can just be problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. What you're talking about is this problem is upstream of other things that are important and valuable that you're thinking about as you're also trying to bring the solution. And I think that's one of the things that vastly separates you from a lot of other people in this space, is that you're thinking and acting and on behalf of the client well beyond the problem itself. And I'm really highlighting this because it's apparent to me. Number one, it's been personal. Number two, I've heard other people say this about you, and it's not just you. It is Jim. It was Matt when Matt was helping us too, and it is I think it's part culture in the company. I think it's part just the individuality of you guys and you really caring. But it really does reveal that like you can have a computer problem, but that's not just what you're solving. You know this means something else, which means something else because it's people's livelihood. It is it's their income, but that income means groceries. It means gas. It means getting the soccer cleats for your kids or the baseball glove for your whatever. Taking care of your parent in some cases. So there's an understanding of that, which I think is really nice.
And this is why a lot of times me getting to know the clients, whether we get along or not, that's because there are clients that mean them butt heads.
Well,
but that's going to be life.
Yeah.
But I still care that, even though I might not get along with them or we see completely differently on how they should do it, because sometimes I'll say one thing and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't want to work with you. And that's happened.
Yes.
And it's personality conflict.
Okay.
And it's fine. But I still, we still care that person's business stays up, fluid, because having these conversations, getting to know people, whether I'm coming out just quoting and we never hear from you again, to understand what your pain points are. Those are what knowing those, and then also knowing you as a person, individual, or in a company.
Yeah,
those things mean something with us, where we know, okay, this is what they're trying to be at. This is what they're going through. Like the lady was yelling, screaming. Knowing her, well, it did. Knowing what she's going through.
Yeah,
it allows me to pivot, to understand, and slowly get her mind back to where I need it to be, and so we can get through it.
Yeah,
and we've, like I said, with the call center, some of the devices are aging because computers as for those that don't know, last about 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And some of those computers they got sent out were 3 years old at the time. They took them home from the office.
Yeah.
We had no control over that.
Yeah.
But now we're slowly swapping these things out, and it's coming conflict, and people are getting frustrated. So it's having that empathy, having that patience, knowing what they're going through, and they're struggling,
Yeah.
And then for the new users, they're going to go to a call center environment. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
So if we can make at least the onboarding process smoothless, we know
seamless
or seamless.
Smoothless. It's full of wrinkles.
Well, we want that seamless, and we want them to get in there where our part's done. They we did our part. Now I hand off their new supervisor training people to, for lack of a better term, weed them in or out.
Yeah,
because sometimes with the classes, when they were in the office, they'd have like 20 people hired.
Yeah,
in about 2 months, it'd be down to 5.
No, wow. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a huge turnover. Either for it's the only company I've ever seen that had this, but it was for usually personality conflicts, or they didn't like it. The call center we have, I thought was the most interesting thing ever, is you have every personality type in that building.
Wow.
Most personality, like type A doesn't get along with nobody.
Yeah.
In this building, which are usually accountants. Unfortunately, sorry, accountants. I've got a lot of friends that are accountants, and one of them is a type A.
Sure.
But it's like everybody gets along with everybody. It's like one big family.
That's
and I ask them, one of the call center supervisors, they're like, how in the world do you get all these personality types, textbook personality types that don't get along with each other in this corporation? Like you have disagreements here and there, everybody gets along for 98% of the time. There's a couple of squabbles here and there, like you disagree with someone, but next day you're hugging and skipping down the aisle. But it's like, it's interesting, the same culture I think Jim brought into this company where we may have those conflicts, but we also have multiple techs that can fit in. Yeah,
you guys work together so good though. Like you're bringing that up, but like that's not even a thing. Like when you're interacting with customers and you're trying to help problems, that doesn't even enter the arena. It's always about focusing on fixing the issue and getting everyone back up if they're down or whatever the issue is, and making sure that there's continuity moving forward.
Exactly.
And I just appreciate that. I want you to know that, and I know I tell this to Jim too. But you're here and you're on the show, and I just want to make sure I recognize you guys for that. I want to ask you a couple of questions because I know we're actually, you might be surprised, we're actually almost at the end of your time.
Wow.
You probably didn't know. It goes by super fast, huh? But I want to ask you a couple of quick questions. We'll rapid fire a couple of these things. Like, what are you doing when you're not working? Like, what are some of your hobbies and interests?
You're gonna laugh. I write some small programs for fun. And then
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I do small little things just to see if I can do it. And then those go into other things. But and then I spend time with all 45 of my kids.
45. You have to explain
So,
that. Yeah.
yes, I have 45 kids, everybody. I got one biological daughter. She's got 6 half siblings.
Yeah.
Her brother lives here. The rest are back in New York. But then I've got all my friends' kids, and that I'm either uncle or like an uncle figure dad to.
Yeah,
I claim all as my own. And
Yeah.
no, I do not buy them all Christmas presents, and
Yeah.
I will never do that because
And don't worry, nerd. He's not claiming them as dependents on his taxes.
not yet. I try my tax guy every year, and he says no.
45. You're like, excuse me, I need another sheet. I have more dependents than that.
But it's also one of those things when I'm dealing with people, I got to feed my 45 kids.
Yeah.
You know, and it breaks that
That's
ice
funny.
sometimes.
That's funny.
But and then on the holiday season, I do a huge haunted house.
Yeah.
And that's something that I planned months in advance. This last year I didn't get to do it because of various reasons. One being sick.
Yeah.
But it's something I do, and it kills my body, my back every year. But it's one of those things that I hear the kids laugh and say, that was cool, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago, I was tired, 30 minutes in this thing, and some little girl comes out and goes, Mommy, that was so awesome. It was cool. I was hunched over, and I was like, I was so tired because my feet and my back were killing me. I'm like, I feel great. I can go another hour.
Wow, that's
and it's
awesome.
like every time my body started breaking down, I
Yeah.
hear that again. And
Yeah.
it's just something that I remember as a kid, how the lines going to the one house over in La Mesa. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just took it and ran with it.
That's super cool, man. So I'm going to put you in a scenario where
Oh, good.
you're good. No. It's not a gotcha. It's not a gotcha. So pretend you're in an arena. There's 100,000 people, and you get handed the microphone. You get to thank somebody. Who are you thanking?
Probably my grandparents. I mean, they're passed on, but my grandparents, they instilled, my grandfather instilled hard work ethics in me. They instilled the old school because they were born in the 30s, and they were raised, both of them. And they instilled, work hard, give all you got. My grandfather, I used to hate it as a kid. He would tell me if I had to be there at 12 o'clock or 12:30, my butt better be in that door where I work at 12 o'clock waiting to clock in. And if I wasn't out of the house, he goes, you're late. And I would remember this. Drove me nuts. But it taught me a lot over the years because of how bosses have responded to that and those things. But their patience, them raising me, and I was a little punk kid. I admit it. But them raising me, I got to learn so much more than someone gets raised by their parents. Not saying parents raising kids are bad.
It's different.
It's different. Now, the bad part is, be raised by your grandparents, you'll get spoiled by them and sit home to your parents.
People don't know this, but I'm about to tell everybody. You always beat me here. And that's because of that, isn't it?
I'm punctual.
Every time I have an appointment, I'm like, okay, Andrew, I'll be at the office at 8:30. I show up at 8:25. He's already in the parking lot, and he's been there for 20 minutes.
Not that long.
I didn't know it was because of that. Well, my point is, I'm exaggerating, but you always beat me here. Even if I'm like, hey, I'll be at the office at 9. You're here before me. I don't think, now that you said that, I don't think there's been a single time that we had a time to meet here, and I was here before you. I don't think it exists.
Unless you're already here, I'm just showing up.
Well, yeah, you come because I call you and you're like, oh, I'm over here in this part of town. I'll just swing by. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you're always there before me when we're supposed to be somewhere.
I'm one of those people, and it drives me late to be. I go crazy if I'm.
Drives you crazy to be late. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's because, and if I'm going to be late, I try to always tell either I call or tell, hey, tell them run a few minutes late because.
Yeah. That's cool.
I look at it like they taught me time is money sometimes. I've learned that from businesses too. If I'm late to you, you're waiting on me. Now, let's say our time runs over 5 minutes. Now your client's got to wait 5 minutes. It's a snowball. It's a snowball effect.
Yeah.
It never stops. That's why I rather wait on the client up to a certain amount of time. There's times that, okay, they were not showing 15, 20 minutes. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
There's something happened, or whether I know or not, unless they call me and say, hey, I'm running this late, I leave. But it's like one of those things that were being punctual is just something that was instilled in me.
Wow.
Always be on time. Always be early because you never know what's going to be needed if you're early.
Wow.
Everybody, to me, it's getting there early. You can all be part of the team, or so you're part of a team to get things ready to go for whatever the next thing. It's that team, kind of like teamwork makes the dream work.
Well, I mean, you've been doing that for us in BNI Partners in Excellence. I mean, this brand new term, I mean, I had, I kind of tapped you on the shoulder like, hey, Andrew, I could use some of your help during the meeting, like every week. But it's a huge help because, when you're running the meeting, you got all the slides, you have a lot of elements you're responsible for. There's things you're managing, there's things that are changing that not everybody always notices. You have to kind of go on the fly, even though most of it's already programmed. There's just things that, there's just things that you have to just kind of go along with. But knowing that here's why I'm bringing this up. I'm saying this because in the meeting, my job as the president, I got to run a good meeting. So that is the kind of primary purpose. But you're supporting that. You're there. Again, oftentimes before me even, and you're setting up the projector for us. You're making sure everyone's slides are already loaded if they're presenting. You have the, all the different elements that we've worked on prior to the meeting ready. And I just really want to honor and thank you for that because that is a tremendous service to the chapter that goes done behind the scenes all the time, and then only in the front of the scene when we're at the meeting and you're helping me with slides. So thank you very much. You're doing a great service for our chapter, and I greatly appreciate it. Anytime, like next week and the week after that.
And wait till he gets the bill.
So, hold on, Bill. Cancel the show. Last question is, dead or alive, who would you like to have dinner with?
Oh, God. That's a good question. There's a lot of people. Probably one of my favorite history buffs, President Kennedy. Because while he had his flaws and everything else, all the rumors said, he was a very good, elegant speaker, and he could take almost any situation and almost defuse it. But he was just, he was very good at what he did in the short amount of time he did it. And I thought that was kind of interesting to see. His life was cut short, and I've studied him since I was 9 years old. But some of the stuff he accomplished in some of the time, at that time, doing what he did and the way his outlook on stuff was, and on all everything that mattered to everybody on both sides, he was just he spoke to a lot of people. Now, he did have his haters, don't get wrong, like every politician. But he had a lot more people that were sympathizers and like, you know what, he's got a point. And like his speech where he says, ask not what you come to do what you can do for your country. He gave many speeches and quotes like that where it makes you go, what can I do for others? How can I be a servant? How can I help someone else? Helping someone else helps you. What most people don't realize, you help, and that's back to your original thing, is me helping you helps me somehow. Yeah. And it's basically paying it forward.
Wow.
Type thing.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. What originally got you interested in his in studying him? And you said 9 years old. So what was the catalyst?
I was reading a small little paperback book about their assassination.
You're 9. You're elementary school, your third grade maybe?
Yeah,
fourth grade. Okay. It's been a long time for me, so I don't know how old was I?
I read a book. It was a small book, like this top one, a top here one. It was really thin. It was very glossed over a lot of stuff. And I'm always been I love history. And so I sat there and read more and more. And when I got to high school, I checked out the Warren Commission. That's the most boring book there is. But I read.
But you read it?
I read not every page of it, but I read a lot of it and looked at all the reports. And I had more questions. Wow. I was just like, I've yet to be Daily.
Sparked that curiosity.
Exactly. And I want to still go to Daily Plaza. I even wanted to write a letter to Jackie and ask her questions back then.
Wow.
I was like, I wanted to ask her feelings, what she remembered. And one of my two like, yeah, you can write a letter. And I never did it. I started to, but never did. But I want to know what her feelings and is like, what she went through, what she remembered, And I'm a kid. I'm thinking, I'm not no adult, so maybe she'll talk to me as a kid because I'm doing it a different way. But it was just something about the whole situation. And I still study and watch different videos and stuff and different theories.
That's cool, man.
Trying to understand what really happened because years ago, I forget what TV show this says. There's his story, there's her story. But there's a truth, there's a lie, and somewhere in between is the actual truth.
Yeah.
And I learned that as growing up as kids. But we kind of fudge when parents listen to the kids. Somewhere in between there is the actual really happened.
Yeah. What really happened is somewhere over there.
Yeah. But it's just something that I've always questioned. And someday when I travel, because I've been all over the United States, one thing I want to do is go to Dallas and go to Daily Plaza.
Wow.
I know things have changed. Certain signs are now gone. Certain things are moved around.
But you're curious about what really went down. Okay.
They've got the exit in the street, but I'd like to just to feel the,
to stand there.
Yeah, to stand there.
I get that.
Like I did in Paul Revere, or the church, Old North Church, Paul Revere's poems about sitting in that thing, sitting in the Boston graveyards, going to the Capitol, stuff like that.
Wow, yeah.
When you see that, and like I got to walk in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
When you see that feeling actually there, it's a different feeling than just reading some textbook.
Yeah, it's like history come to life, right?
Exactly.
Was that Good Will Hunting, right? You're talking about the Sistine Chapel. Talking about how you can.
I haven't seen that in so long.
Oh God, yeah, Robin Williams is talking about how you can describe to me what it's like, but you can't tell me what it smells like standing there. I think he says smells like. I don't remember the exact line, but the whole point is you can tell me all about it, but until you've stood there and witnessed it with your hands and then you're witness with your eyes and you can feel the cold air around you and really look at it, you don't know what you're talking about.
Because it looks. I mean. And then the other thing is too, that area looks so big, but it's not that big. It's a large area, but it's a small. It's not. It's still small. It's just when you put a lot of people in a room, it seems so big.
Yeah.
But when you take everybody else, like this room's small.
Yeah.
It's one of those things of how so much happened in so little space.
Yeah. That's a really interesting. That's a great answer. I was saying interesting, like, oh, that's a weird one. No, that's an interesting answer. I've had a lot of really interesting answers on the show too, like a lot of like personal things or people from history. I think that's the first president and definitely the first assassination. So I think that's where we should stop. That's where we're going to end. Wow, that's a weird ending. But you know what? That's where we're going to end because we're two Andrews. One of us is an Andy. And we're both Andrews when we're in trouble. I guess that's what I learned today, too. But thank you, Andrew, for coming onto the show. I know that you've been begging me to come on this show for weeks, and I just was like, oh, no, wait. Psych. I want to commend you for coming on the show. I know you are not normally out front. You like working behind the scenes, helping solve problems. You do not want the spotlight, and you do not want the accolades and all the gratitudes, but we are so grateful for you, and we're thankful for you. So I appreciate you very much, personally and professionally. So thank you for coming on to the BNI Partners in Excellence show. You did a great job today, man. And I hope you all agree too. If you'd like to network with Andrew and myself down at BNI Partners in Excellence, we meet every Wednesday down at the Chula Vista Golf Course in Bonita. That's right, the Chula Vista Golf Course in Bonita at 4475 Bonita Road. Open networking starts at 6:45 a.m. Meeting starts at 7. You can register by visiting the link in the description box below. Andrew, thank you for coming on to the show. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you with another great guest next week.